All right, everyone. It might surprise you, but Biden actually is a drug warrior. Anyone who understood his history in the legislative capacity or looked at who he hired for his running mate would already be able to know this. But it goes further. Joe Biden's DEA is telling the state of Georgia that they're not allowed to allow pharmacies to dispense marijuana, despite medical marijuana being legal there. So a dispensary can dispense marijuana and marijuana products. The federal government acknowledges the illegality, by the way, of those products, but literally does nothing. But should pharmacies want to dispense it? Oh my God, you can't do that. I have a feeling that it's the federal government trying to force state monopolization of marijuana sales at highly regulated facilities outside of the normal pharmaceutical lexicon in order to drive the price up. By limiting the availability of the product, drive the price up and make more tax revenue. This is really a money move more than anything else. I wonder how many young voters are going to look at this and say, oh yeah, I think we should continue the drug war. It seems to have fallen out of favor steadily over time. Support for marijuana legalization, not even like drugs in general, even the soft ones, for marijuana legalization, even in the medical sense, was iffy back in the 90s. In the 2000s, medical marijuana becomes generally accepted by most voting blocs. Legalizing it outright or even decriminalizing it, that became more of the battle. In the 2010s, recreational marijuana became more popular. It's still probably less than a 50-50, and in some states you had high support, like Ohio. You had high support, but then you had a series of blundering bills that wanted to fully monopolize it. Like, we're going to have one state dispensary you can go to. It'll be a little bit like Mexico. Technically, did you know Mexico has a Second Amendment? It's too bad there's only one licensed gun store in the entire country with a waiting list that's like 10 years long. It's a little bit like trying to get a car in the Soviet Union. State regulation is a bitch. Now Biden's DEA is saying, no, you're not even going to get your medical marijuana at an unauthorized facility. Again, this is for taxation purposes. Limit the product, force people to go more out of their way. They're driving more, so that's gas sales. They get the munchies on the way maybe, so they buy more Twinkies. Waste their time and keep them paying. Make sure that pot is really expensive. Now, California has a problem because you can't grow pot in Georgia, but you can get it medically. I don't think they have recreational marijuana, although I will say one thing. A lot of cops these days effectively de facto decriminalized it by simply looking the other way and hoping that you don't do it openly in public so they have to break your pipe. Sort of the way that it was in Vermont when before it got legalized there, like when I was in college. California had a problem with the dispensaries, and I suspect that they have the same one in Georgia. Because the price is higher, people turn to the black market and to people that are involved in maybe other illicit trades. You're actually, the government's getting its due, so it doesn't care, but you're also giving the cartels and street gangs more money. And sketchy dudes and wife beaters will show up to your house at 4 o'clock in the morning if you need a fix, for the right price. Oh, by the way, it's not just weed that I got here. I got some fucking white powder, and I got some pills, and this other stuff, I'm not sure what it is, and, so here's, want some cactus juice? Yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. Because unlike a dispensary, they've got all these other products too. Now, I've been a long-standing opponent of the drug war in general. I believe in blanket decriminalization. The maintaining of DUI and public intoxication and similar laws would still apply, the same as they would for booze. You can go and buy alcohol, but you can't drink and drive. If you're drunk in public and you're being disorderly, that's disorderly conduct, etc. I believe in maintaining that. I think that if a person is in their own home and they want to snort cocaine, I don't give a shit about it. If they want to drop acid, again, it's up to them to make sure that they prepare a situation in which they're not interacting with kids, they're not going out in public, etc., and they're not so stoned that they have a medical crisis. That's on them. Let them do whatever the hell they want. You've also got the crazy offshoot where states are trying to tie gun ownership to whether a person is using substances. They're trying to do this, by the way, with Hunter Biden. I hate to tell you this, but I actually support Hunter Biden in his legal suit. I think there's been a brief filed for him by the NRA, if I remember correctly, or one of those pro-Second Amendment groups, which is astronomically funny. I actually agree with him. Just because you did a little drugs doesn't mean that you're disqualified under the Second Amendment. The founders did plenty of substances. They experimented with Jimson weed, and they did have cannabis products, actually. They certainly loved their booze. I'm uncomfortable with the government being able to tie a constitutional right to that in such a way that it effectively makes it a privilege. Just blanket decriminalize it all. The DEA should not be involved outside of a medical setting. And it's not even clear what the hell Biden's DEA is trying to do here. People can already get the medical weed. You're just limiting the locations they can get it at. Don't tell me it's about anything other than limiting sales availability to jack the price up. Please don't try to fool me into believing that. In California, you even had growers moving out of the state. They're like, well, I can grow my pot here, and I can compete with a beefy black market with a dispensary system that's massively overvalued as far as the product. No matter how good my product is, I get taxed up the ass, constant regulatory harassment, etc., etc., etc. Or I can go to another state where I can grow marijuana, other than California, in which they've just de facto decriminalized the possession and they look the other way if you grow it, and there's no regulatory hurdle. You pay a fee. Growers, you go to Washington State or Colorado or Vermont or something like that. They've literally, state regulatory systems are capable of making marijuana unprofitable. What the hell do you think the federal government's capable of doing? I mean, this is technically still federally illegal. Why not let the pharmacies sell it and not just the dispensaries? And who cares? What, the kid goes into the pharmacy to pick up aspirin, they see the pot products and it's a big fucking deal? Well, they're not able to buy it. They're not going to be able to ID for it. It'll be behind a protective case. Hell, in some parts of the country, fucking hair care products are at this point. So I don't think that you'll have a problem with the pharmacies making sure that the marijuana is not available to the 17-year-old kid. It makes no sense unless approached from the perspective of the federal government wanting to bilk more taxes. And violating, effectively, the 10th Amendment in the process. DEA should barely exist. We need to defang these regulatory agencies, give the power back to the states or to individuals respectively in the auspices of the 10th Amendment. That's what should be done, which is why DC won't do it, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.